friend, welcome back to my channel. My name's Laura and you're watching Purely Inspired Living. Today we're going to do an oracle card reading and I'm going to be using the Starcodes Astro Oracle deck. It's been a while since I've used this. I really like to use this mostly for doing like astrology readings just because there's a lot of really helpful information in here, but I really enjoy doing this as an oracle deck as well. So let's get to it. All right, I'm using one of the guidebook's suggestions for spreads, and with this deck in particular, we section it into 4 categories, so that's what I'm going to do right now. So first we have our astrology signs. Then we have our celestial bodies. Then we have our housing. And then we have our like associations. Okay, I'm going to shuffle them and then we'll pull cards. So I'm not going to shuffle them all together. I'm going to shuffle them in their own categories. So here we go. Using the guidebook, the spread that I'm using is called the Astrological Sentence, which I have used before. I'll link that video up above. But the first one that uses our zodiacs is called the Lens. The second one that uses our celestial bodies is called the Character, Celestial Character. The third that uses our housing system is our Location, and our fourth is our Patterns. Let's go ahead and pull. So I've shuffled them in their individual categories. I've cut the deck, and now we're going to draw a card for each one. So our lens is Pisces. Our celestial character is the Moon. Our location is the 7th house. And finally, our pattern is trines and sextiles. All right, let's dive in and figure out what this means for us. Okay, so I changed the location so I could come in and jot down a few notes here. With this particular spread, we have so much going on that for these cards, I like to pause before I do an intuitive like reading. So our lens. So the lens is how we're seeing the situation, right? So the lens was Pisces. I'll show you the card. So the lens was Pisces, and the word sensitize is written at the bottom of the card. And some things that came up for me looking at the guidebook and just some things that are just standing out to me. Water. Water was one of the first things with this Pisces that came to me. And as we know about water being tied to our emotions, that's the element that we associate with our emotions, with our deep internal selves, right? Like a wellspring of inside of us. So it talks a lot about that emotional connection we have with others. Our character is the Moon. So the lens that we're looking at the situation through is through being sensitive to others, especially in our emotions, our emotional interactions. The moon also is very heavily tied to water and emotions and intuition, right? So it's really coming out to me that with all of these in mind, Pisces, the moon, the seventh house, which is about relationships, and trines and sextiles being a symbiosis, a harmonic working together. I really think the message that we have today is for us right now to really be focusing on that harmony in our emotional connections with one another. We really need to be fostering those. We need to be looking at the relationships that we choose to have in our lives, and really start working on developing that emotional response with one another in a positive and healthy way. When we have relationships in our lives that are important to us and they provide comfort and support and safety and love and nurturing, we feel that feeds our soul, and then we're able to give that back out to others. So having that symbiotic relationship, again with the trines and sextiles, that symbiotic relationship of where we're feeding each other's souls on an emotional level is what we're really talking about right now. I think right now we're in Libra season. Libra is naturally the ruler of the seventh house, which is a phenomenal coincidence, right? So we're right in the heart of Libra season. We're talking about balance. We're talking about relationships. We're talking about love, beauty, connection. We're talking about connection. So what I think our reading today really is saying is take this time right now to focus on feeding your soul through your personal connections with others. Again, those of our choosings, whether it's a spouse, close friends, close colleagues or business partners, feeding those relationships, tying in that emotional connection and emotional support that we have with one another is really going to feed your soul in this moment and help you progress through the rest of this particular season. So I think that was a really very interesting reading. I love these cards for this. It's always astounding to me how they really seem to talk about a bigger picture, some things that really is really going on with us. I did have some ideas come up about my personal journey. If you're following along on my podcast, you know that I've talked about shadow work. I am getting ready to post another podcast episode about beginning shadow work, and we're going to start doing some shadow work exercises together as a community. And maybe it's because it's fresh in my mind, but this kind of really jumped out at me and made me start connecting those dots. So one way we can feed our emotional connection with others is through doing things like shadow work, where we're reconnecting with our emotional selves and realigning some parts of us that might be disjointed in our own emotions. And one way we can do that is through shadow work. And when we come together as a community and participate in exercises like this, like deep, intensive shadow work ideas, it can help us bolster our own connections with one another and help not only boost up our own emotional selves, but then we can do that in return for others and really join together in a harmonic setting where we're all working together to just provide love and support. So if you're interested in shadow work, this could be hinting at that, but I think it also plays on a much larger scale, even if you're not interested in shadow work or you're doing your own journey with that. We're really talking about finding ways that we can connect with others on that deep emotional level and really foster those relationships. So I'll put links below. Check out my podcast, and thank you guys so much for joining me today, and I will see you here next week for our next oracle reading. Until then, I hope you stay inspired.